The purpose of this video is to add another one of these bridge fires to the collection of other bridge fires where it has melted the steel, and just reference a few of the other similar examples and reiterate that I don't think this is directed. I think these bridges work like an antenna or like a tuning fork and somehow magnify the effects of the ground current. And I'm just going to reference a couple other videos that I've documented similar bridge fires that melt the structural steel that they're made out of.
Clear evidence of sabotage because the amount of heat that was shot out at the bridge, Cincinnati area where Ohio was at, there's just no way you can get this hot. And we're gonna tell you and show you why. Sabotage U.S. under attack. Dame Carter Bridge connecting Cincinnati is now shut down. Said to have structural damage due to a car explosion and fire that took place underneath the bridge. National Guards have been called. Not looking right.
Developing tonight, all lanes of I-471 between Cincinnati, Ohio and northern Kentucky are shut down following an overnight fire. The fire happened underneath the Daniel Carter Beard Bridge, which spans the Ohio River. The Department of Transportation there says the damage to the bridge is significant. No one, though, was injured. Investigators say the fire broke out near a playground.
So we want to break down, because we got some photos. We got some photos of underneath the bridge. I'm about to break this down because they ain't telling us something here. So when I look at this, I'm gonna show you after effects of this right now. So it was a playground underneath there. This bridge was built with steel beams and they're melting. Look at that. So you got to ask the question, okay, what's the melting point of steel beams? The melting point of steel beams can range from 2,500 to 2,800 Fahrenheit. It depends on the steel's composition and grade. So we're going to go with 2,500 to 2,800. Now let's look at the steel beams on the other end over here, and you can check it out to see what it looks like. But here's the question. They said a car exploded. Okay, so then the question becomes, how hot does a car get when it explodes? And we look at that and it says a car fire can generate the heat of over 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. In one study, the temperature inside of a car during full-scale fire experiment peaked at 900 C. So that can't melt the bridge though. You see what I'm saying? And now I'm about to get you down into the part to where it really starts to deepen and we start to understand a little bit more of the scenario of this fire. So I'm gonna give you one other image of the steel beams that was melted, and then I'm gonna tell you straight up just what I believe this is, because there's no other explanation. This is right in your face. Here's another steel beam melted from underneath this bridge. You can see how the area looked. And the final solution that I came up to after everything, the only thing that gets close to this, some people say dews. You think dews? You could say dews, but I think this is what it was. The temperature of a bomb explosion can vary on the type of bomb and distance from the explosion. Military bombs have tested and recorded of temperatures of up to 2,480 C, which is about 4,500 Fahrenheit. So the melting point, to me, it only says that a bomb was put inside of a vehicle, a car, put underneath this bridge to purposely sabotage it. There are about 7 military bases with special functions out in that area. They could have probably tried to stop them from crossing the bridge, but they have multiple bridge points over there as other bridge points. But they did this for a reason. They said infrastructure attacks in the RAND documents would be something that was going to happen, and it was going to happen around.
Okay, I don't believe it's anything like what he's trying to indicate as to the reason why and how when he says there's just no other explanation. This is the bridge collapse in Philly over a year ago. I'm going to just show you a quick piece of this. In this neck of woods, and you can see
Flame still there on the ground, a couple fire trucks right there trying to put out that fire, so it doesn't look like there's too much in terms of fire at this point. Just a little pocket there. Who knows, there could be more underneath. And actually, look at that, you just saw those flames kind of just blow out of the ground right there. That is incredible. I'm not sure what that's related to, but you can see there are some holes right there, so what's underneath those we don't know, but that seems to be where the burning is concentrated at this point. And if you're watching with me right now, you just saw a moment ago flames shoot out of those holes there. So I don't know if those are manholes or what they are. Who knows, there could be more underneath. And actually, look at that, you just saw those flames kind of just blow out of the ground right there. That is incredible. I'm not sure what fire at this point. Just a little pocket there. Who knows, there could be more underneath. And actually, look at that, you just saw those flames kind of just blow out of the ground right there. That is incredible. I'm not sure what that's related. Like, there's too much in terms of fire at this point. Just a little pocket there. Who knows, there could be more underneath. And actually, look at that, you just saw those flames kind of just blow out of the ground right there. That is incredible. I'm not sure. Doesn't look like there's too much in terms of fire at this point. Just a little pocket there. Who knows, there could be more underneath. And actually, look at that, you just saw those flames kind of just blow out of the ground right there. That is incredible. I'm not sure what that's related to, but you can see there are some holes right there, so what's underneath those we don't know, but that seems to be where the burning is concentrated at this point. And if you're watching with me right now, you just saw a moment ago flames shoot out of those holes there. So
Link will be in the description. You can watch the rest of this fire investigation, but this was a plasma fire and it has a way of collapsing bridges. And as you saw, the fire is going on underground. Here's another example over here on the side of the road. That's fire billowing out of that hole across the road. The one that we just looked at, where it was blowing up out the road, is right there. This other one, across the other side of the road, is also billowing smoke.
pan over, you see actually some smoke billowing out of another hole in the bridge. So it kind of looks like there might be fire underneath that road that we're looking at. Not necessarily the one that collapsed, but...
That's right, and this plasma fire is electricity that moves underground. It starts underground fires. Keep that in mind. This is a video that I made a while back that I titled, Canadian Mayor Says, quote, fires are deep underground. We dig them up in order to put them out. This is the thumbnail that I used for that video, showing a bridge that caught fire. Here is a screenshot from a bridge that apparently burned, where you can see the guardrail along the sides and the steel pylons down below and the metal beams that ran through the bridge, but the asphalt is gone. I go into much more detailed explanations in a longer, full... Link to this video will also be in the description. This is one that I titled Alumni Learning Curve at Plasma University. And you can see that it too shows a bridge that was burned in one of these forest fires where none of the forestry around is burned. It's all green, unburned. And look what happened at the point of the bridge. But I don't think it's always targeted. There are different ways that this fire works. The electrical component of these fires burns in ways we don't understand. This is from the wildfires in Nova Scotia, Canada. And someone else that pointed this out said that bridge was targeted. I don't believe so. But I don't believe it was made out of wood either. I think it's the nature of the bridge, something about the metal. Clearly you can see the trees all around that bridge are still intact. There's not a whole lot of burning. There's ground scorch, but the trees are still okay. But I don't think that bridge was targeted. And it's possible that that bus wasn't targeted either. Sometimes the electricity finds its way to latch onto something and burns things in weird ways that we don't understand. Here's a bridge that I filmed in my very first plasma fire, and at the time I thought it was laser strikes that hit this bridge. I was sure they were doing target practice using the bridge. But now I think it's electricity. You have the metal railing on the right and the metal railing on the left, and I believe it's filaments of electricity arcing between the two metal railings that make all these appearances of what looks like laser strikes. But they all go exactly the same direction, and most of them are right on the seam where one board meets another, like the path of least resistance. I don't believe these are laser strikes anymore. I believe these are arcs of electricity going between the two metal railings, creating these, what appear to be something like laser strikes.
Spanish Fork River Park Bridge that I've spoken of with the 18 laser strikes. One, and you'll notice there's a metal beam here. That straight edge is a metal beam. This one has a diagonal metal beam, but most of them start on one metal beam and go one way or the other. They're all the same width. And it doesn't go from hot to medium to cold. You don't see any burn here. It goes from absolute burn to zero in the same 1.5 inch width, like a laser strike. Let's just call it what it is. That's a laser strike, and there's 18 more. Here, 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 all placing the shot of these directed energy weapons. So I'll just go through and show you. They all seem to come off of one of these metal. Here, 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 all placing the shot of these directed energy weapons. So I'll just.
Notice this one is on the seam, right where one board meets another. This is the seam between two boards where they come together. Most of the others are at the same point, right where two boards butt up next to each other. If those were laser strikes, that wouldn't be the case. You wouldn't be able to land 80% of your shots right on the seam between two boards. The other thing is, they all butt up against a metal rail that runs underneath. Just like I showed you on that first one, you'll see that being repeated with all of these other so-called laser strikes. There's a learning curve here. People that are still stuck on do, they're just earlier on the learning curve. There was a point at which I thought these were laser strikes. But we learn and grow.
Through and show you. To come off of one of these metal beams, like what's right there, and I'll show you from the bottom side too. We'll get under here and show you. So there's two. Again, that one comes off of this beam, but it's got a diagonal going underneath.
Notice how they're all right on the seam where two boards meet, and they all start at one of the cross beams underneath, and they all go the same direction, perpendicular to the bridge, parallel with the boards. This is part of the learning curve. That one that's right there, you can see the two screws on either side of it. One right there and one right there. Those screws are going down into the metal beam underneath. So each one of these laser strikes starts on one of those metal beams, goes perfectly 90-degree perpendicular, and most of them are on a seam in between two boards. This indicates electricity finding the path of least resistance, and part of my learning curve was expanding my understanding from this is laser strikes from a directed energy weapon to there's something else going on here.
This one comes off of that beam right here and goes this way a little bit. Here's three more. This one, I don't know if you can see the beam, and maybe this one's like one of the exceptions. And maybe this one too. Most of them come off of a beam, but all of them have some similarity. They're all this wide and zero burn on either side. That's a laser strike, and to hit this one bridge 18 times was target practice. when they charge up the directed energy weapons like the Athena by Lockheed Martin, by the ionized atmosphere, check out Ilana Freeland, Under an Ionized Sky. The ambient plasma burns the poles and everything else I've been showing you, but this is the directed energy weapon shots. Okay? That's what these are. I'll go on, come back and show you some more. This one again, there's the here's the beam right here that it comes off of. So most of them start at one of these beams where you see these two bolts. Again, like that one, no, that wasn't a shot. I'd say that was just something weird. All of them go clear through, what is this, like 2.5 inch thick wood? Without leaving any burn signature on either side. Those are lasers, okay? That's what this was, target practice. Firing up those dudes. And I'll get it.
So we all have room to grow, and there is a learning curve to this. But I don't think it's all firing up those dudes. I think this is electricity, and it works in ways that I don't understand, and I'm still learning. But unlike a lot of people, I've gotten past the directed energy phase, thinking it's all directed energy. So, when I say plasma fire, I'm referring to the burn patterns, and I do believe there is a natural phenomenon happening where it is not directed, and I know for sure there are certain instances where it is directed, such as the 5 Secret Service vehicles, and the engine block is the densest piece of metal, so it draws the energy. In a microwave, a more dense, my analogy is put a potato and a bread roll in the microwave for 1 minute. The potato will come out much hotter because it is more dense. This is also what you see logs. I'll leave the link in the description to this video as well. Alumni Learning Curve at Plasma University. And in all the videos that I've mentioned that I've created, which I will leave in the description, the 3 or 4 that I've referenced, within the description of each one of those videos is more links to other videos of similar content, like a Russian nesting doll. I've left a long trail of breadcrumbs during my investigation, and I've come a long way since the time that I was oh so certain these were dudes and directed energy and being shot by lasers. And I invite you guys to join me in the investigation, the discovery, and the disclosure of this alien force that is among us, all around us, that expresses itself in these different ways. And I believe these bridges work like a tuning fork or an antenna, and this electricity finds its way through them, and each time people see this happening, they say, oh, someone's targeting our infrastructure, and the authorities are happy to have you believe that. They would much rather you believe this is all directed energy, some secret weapon somewhere is being directed at us, and you'll rely on the government for protection to go find the bad guy who's got his finger on the button and put a stop to it. Because if people knew that there's a natural phenomenon occurring here over which the government has no control, the people themselves would not be controllable by that government. They would be out of control. And for that reason, I am glad that they have suppressed my channel. You see, truther and conspiracy theorist are synonymous. Those are two terminologies that mean exactly the same thing. And as far as truth, as a truther, I have clearly hit pay dirt here. There is a self-evident truth that speaks for itself that is undeniable in the form of plasma fire. And as far as a conspiracy theory, it's not a theory. It's absolutely self-evident that it is true. All of these institutions are conspiring to keep this under wraps. The media institutions, institutions of higher education, presidents, prime ministers, politicians, the police force, the fire department, all of them are conspiring to keep this subject under wraps and not say anything about it. That is self-evidently as true as the plasma fire itself. Once you see how ubiquitous the plasma fire is, how it is absolutely everywhere for the last 6 years, yet you don't hear a word of it from any of these institutions that I've mentioned, clearly they are all coordinating their efforts to not speak a word about it. They are conspiring. That becomes just as self-evident as the plasma fire itself once you recognize the quantity of plasma fire that I have documented over the last 6 years. And I'm glad that they have done that. On the other hand, you cannot blame those institutions and their cover-up for the fact that the public doesn't know about plasma fire and is unaware of it. They all had all the same opportunities to be able to see it that I did. They pass right by it every day. There are millions of places where millions of people pass by this stuff every day. You can't blame the cover-up for why people don't know. It is the people themselves who keep their own mind under wraps. And if the institutions that speak no plasma fire didn't do that, society would have come unraveled in the process over the last 6 years. If I was successful in shouting from the rooftops and drawing people's attention to this, society would have come apart at the seams worldwide. And on that note, the two muse messages that go with this video is the song Prayer in C and Live Like You Were Dying. Because at this point, now that I know society would come unraveled if the general population was aware of this, why would I continue speaking about it? A, because I know this channel is so censored and reined in that only a select few people are receiving these messages. This doesn't go out to the public. This is just between us. And this gives you the chance to live like you were dying. I will also reference Tool. Repugnant is a creature who would squander the ability to lift an eye to heaven, conscious of his fleeting time here. That's from the song Tool, and the title of the song is Right in Two. Repugnant is a creature who would squander the ability to lift an eye to heaven, conscious of his fleeting time here. Plasma fire has made you conscious of your fleeting time here. That is also what's being referenced in the song Live Like You Were Dying. When you become made aware of your fleeting time here and told that you don't have much time left. That's the benefit. That's the positive. That's what can be useful from these plasma fire videos, is that you have the chance to live like you were dying. And it's not just a decision to have a certain attitude or state of mind. The only way a person can truly have that chance to live like they were dying is to have a near-death experience, also known as the dark night of the soul, also known as ego death. When a person comes face to face with their mortality or the other side, the beyond, it changes them internally. That may be what the original baptism was. When they held you underwater until you took your first breath of water in and your whole body immediately seizes, and then they haul you up on the ledge, pump the water out of your chest, you come back to life after you spit that water out of your lungs, and you're born again. You've been to the other side. You had a near-death experience. It changes a person. Living like you were dying isn't just a choice that anyone can make. It's not a state of mind or an attitude that you can just choose. It only comes about as a result of, in this case, the doctor told him you're going to die. A near-death experience can come in multiple forms. And being told you've got a year left to live instantly gives you a near-death experience. You know death is near. You become conscious of your fleeting time here, and lifting an eye to heaven is one of the things that he mentions in these lyrics. He said, I was in my early 40s with a lot of life before me when a moment came that stopped me on a dime. And I spent most of the next days looking at the x-rays, talking about the options, and talking about sweet time. I asked him when it sank in that this might really be the real end. How's it hit you when you get that sort of news? Man, what'd you do? I went skydiving, Rocky Mountain climbing, and bull riding. And even if you're not going to do those types of things, you can love deeper and speak sweeter and give forgiveness that you've been denying. And someday I hope you get the chance to live like you were dying. And I hope Plasma Fire brings you that chance. Most people spend their life living like they're just going to go on living and living and living some more. We've all known that eventually death is coming, but we put it so far out of our mind, we don't live like we're actually going to die. When you know the end is near, it changes you. That guy that cut you off and flipped you off in traffic and said, fuck you, he doesn't know about plasma fire. And if you do and hold it at the forefront of your mind, you won't flip him off back and engage in that type of behavior. You'll know that life is too short to engage in that type of behavior. You will give forgiveness to that guy that cut you off and flipped you off in the moment if you have plasma fire front and center in your awareness. And you know that every person that you've ever loved, they received that diagnosis from the doc that you ain't got long. Plasma fire will assure that. None of you have very long. Nor do any of your friends and family. And if one of your family members gets that diagnosis, they've only got a year left, you treat them differently. You don't hold grudges. You don't hold them accountable for everything they've done. You cherish the little time that you have left with them. And that is the case for every single person in your family or every friend or anyone you've ever known or anyone you will ever meet like tomorrow. They've all got the diagnosis. Their time is up. And I was finally the husband that most of the time I wasn't. And I became a friend would like to have. And all of a sudden, going fishing wasn't such an imposition. And I went 3 times that year I lost my dad. Well, I finally read the good book, and I took a good long hard look at what I'd do if I could do it all again. And then I went skydiving, Rocky Mountain climbing. I loved deeper. I spoke sweeter. I gave forgiveness I'd been denying. And someday I hope you get the chance to live like you were dying. Like tomorrow was a gift, and you've got eternity to think about what you did with it. What would you do with it? What would you do with it?